Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Real Time, where we talk about the movies we like.
And the ones we don't.
I'm Tyler.
And I'm Molly.
Seeing as how we're still in the summer months, I figure let's take a look at the rest of the Jaws movies, all three of them.
It's very fitting because I think Shark Week wasn't too long ago, right?
I think it's still upcoming.
Oh, maybe.
Stall for a minute. I'm going to see
Okay.
when Shark Week is.
Yep. The Jaws sequels. So we're not watching Jaws. We are just focusing on the sequels today.
Actually, Shark Week started today, as we're recording it, July 7th,
Oh.
2024.
Oh, look at that. So, yeah, very fitting, and we didn't even realize.
No, we didn't. If only we planned that.
Yeah, we just got lucky.
This will probably get out by the end of the week, if not maybe Wednesday.
Yeah, we can try.
We'll see. Work has been kind of spotty with letting me go home.
Yes, and I could give birth at any moment. So.
Yes, she could.
Yeah, so who knows what's going to happen.
Anyways, so 2 years ago, we covered the original Jaws. It is one of the greatest movies of all time. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. Those two categories aren't usually the same thing, but in this instance, it definitely is.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this movie pretty much created the summer blockbuster.
I was thinking the exact same thing.
Yeah. It's great. I remember when I first watched Jaws, I was like, that was really good. Because I watched it when I was, I think I was older. I was out of school for sure. So, yeah, I was like, why did I wait that long to watch it? It's a good movie.
I don't know, man. My dad showed me the original movie when I was like 5, and it scared the hell out of me so much. I was not getting in the water at any point.
Is that why you're afraid of the ocean, you think?
No, that's not why.
Okay. Kind of funny.
No, sharks isn't why sharks are not why I'm afraid of the ocean. I love sharks. They're very fascinating and interesting creatures. These movies didn't really do them any favors, and neither did the original book that Jaws was based on, written by Peter Benchley back in the early 1970s.
Yeah, definitely gave sharks a bad name.
However, we are not here to talk about the original classic, which, after going through the sequels, we're probably going to go back and watch the original just to remind ourselves that that this series started from something really great.
Yeah, just for fun.
We're going to be looking at the mediocre to horrible sequels.
Yep. Yeah. So, Jaws 2.
Jaws 2. We're going to start with Jaws 2 because that's how numbers work.
That is, yep. After 1 comes 2.
And then 3.
And then 4.
And then, well, you know the rest.
Yeah, you know how to count, I hope.
So, fun fact about Jaws 2, this was the first sequel to use the numeral 2 instead of Roman numerals.
Huh.
Yeah, it was the first to use Arabic numerals in its title instead of just using Roman numerals.
Yeah. That's funny. I didn't even...
Didn't figure it?
I didn't know that I needed to... I didn't know that was a fact about it. That's kind of funny.
Yeah.
I just assumed it was random. It was just like, whatever the aesthetic was. But that's kind of funny.
This movie was not directed by Steven Spielberg. He had nothing to do with any of the sequels going forward. At one point, he was approached to direct this, but he didn't like the idea of doing a sequel to Jaws, which Jaws did not need a sequel. But if we are going to get a sequel, the original we got was pretty okay.
Yeah. Yeah, Jaws definitely did not need a sequel, but here we are.
So they initially asked Spielberg to return, but he was completely against the idea. Eventually he kind of warmed up to the idea, but by that point he was already underway making Close Encounters of the Third Kind with one of the stars from the original movie, Richard Dreyfuss.
Oh, fun fact. I've never seen that movie.
Me neither.
Yeah.
But had Spielberg did return, he would have wanted to do a prequel based on Quint's time on the USS Indianapolis.
Okay, that could have been interesting.
Spielberg beating the rest of Hollywood to the punch at making spin-offs that we didn't ask for.
Yeah, that's true.
I feel like that one would have been very interesting, though.
Yeah, I think so.
Instead, TV director Jano Schwartz took the director's seat, but not after a few other people were considered and didn't do it.
Oh, like who?
Well, John Frankenheimer and Otto Preminger were considered to direct. And another director, John Hancock, was brought on as director for the first few months of filming with a script by Dorothy Tristan. Their version was radically different. It would have seen Amity being absolutely abandoned after the events of the first movie, given how the shark ruined the entire economy of Amity, given that it's a beach town that heavily runs on tourist activity. This was very much highlighted in the original book, Jaws, as a reason that they weren't closing the beaches. It wasn't as focused as much on in the original movie for reasons of streamlining the plot and all the characters. But I think that would have been an interesting way to go.
Yeah, it would have. And it makes sense. I mean, once you get a lot of shark attacks from this vicious shark, people aren't probably going to come to that island anymore.
Or you're going to get a whole trove of other sorts of tourists who want to come to this island because it's a place where a whole lot of people got eaten by sharks. You know, that's partially why some people go to the Jersey Shore to look at the spots where the 1916 shark attacks took place, which inspired the original book, Jaws.
Oh.
It's also possibly why tourism to Australia is so popular because of all the sharks.
Yeah. Interesting.
Now, not a lot of cast or crew came back from the original movie, but one of them was main star of the original movie, Roy Scheider, returning as Martin Brody. Now, Brody had to be kind of strong. Not Brody. Scheider had to be strong-armed into doing this movie because he had just walked off of the set of the Michael Cimino movie, The Deer Hunter. It's this movie where this guy has to... he's searching for his friend that he got separated from during the Vietnam War after they were being held as prisoners of war. One thing led to another, and they're all playing Russian roulette together.
Okay, and he just left the movie?
Yeah, he didn't believe the motivations of his character, Michael. Michael will later be recast with Robert De Niro.
Oh.
It's a very good movie, actually. I highly recommend it.
I don't think I've ever even heard of that.
Anyways, so this put him in a bind with Universal. Now, they were willing to forgive that and count Jaws 2 as the last two remaining movies on his contract if he did it. And Scheider also wanted to be paid, the big bucks for this movie. So they paid him like $500,000 to actually do this movie, which was at least 4 times what he was paid for the first Jaws.
Oh, yeah. I'd take that too. Yeah, sounds good.
Now, the troubles didn't end there because Scheider clashed very heavily with director Jano Schwartz over character motivations, Schwartz's directing style and all that. And the producers decided to get them together to air out their grievances with each other, and it ended up with them having a fist fight.
Oh boy. That's kind of funny.
Yeah, so Scheider, needless to say, did not have a good time on this picture. But, to his credit, you wouldn't know it based on his performance because he is turning in an absolute powerhouse.
Yeah, his performance was pretty good. You think maybe it's him that's the problem if he walked off of one movie and then is having problems on another.
I mean, maybe, but who knows?
Yeah, I can see a pattern forming maybe.
But also to his credit, Scheider was said to have been a professional otherwise in dealing with his other castmates.
Oh, okay. Well,
I also think that his anxiety with this director and not wanting to be there really helped his performance. Because look at it like this, okay? You have this guy who just does not want to be there. He's going through an absolute horrible time on the set, and he's playing a character who is having the worst time of his life, trying to convince everyone around him that there is a shark, swimming around their island once again. and no one believes him. So I feel like some of the anxiety that was going on in his life at the time helped fuel his character.
Yeah, I can see that because he's a very anxious character. Oh, what happened? Oh, it's still recording. Sorry. Well, now I lost my train of thought. Anyways.
You're talking about how he was an anxious character?
Yeah, because he's seeing a shark. He knows there's a shark swimming around attacking people again, and all these other people are probably like, oh, he's reverting back to like his memories of the last shark. No one believes him.
Which, why would you not believe this man? He's the one who saved all of your asses in the last movie. He's the reason why you still have an economy of some sort.
Yeah. You think I would believe this guy.
Now, granted, he isn't doing himself any favors by acting so erratically, which does lead to him getting fired in the movie. But honestly, still, I feel like he's doing this for a good reason. Like, this guy would not freak out for no reason.
Yeah, definitely.
Also returning from the first movie, Lorraine Gary playing Ellen Brody, Martin's wife. She gets a little bit more to do this time around. Here she's working with one of the selectmen, Len Peterson, in really bringing more tourists to the island, trying to make their economy even stronger, so it seems.
Yeah, in the first movie she didn't do much, just kind of was his wife.
She was just staying in the kitchen as a housewife.
Yeah, basically.
Here, it does come a little bit out of nowhere, but I do like that she is able to do more things.
Yeah,
Murray Hamilton plays Mayor Vaughn once again, and it's kind of frustrating to see this guy kind of revert back to his state in the first movie where he's, bullheaded against what Brody is saying. However, in a deleted scene when all the selectmen were voting whether or not to fire Brody, Mayor Vaughn was the only one who voted against it and wanted to keep him.
Oh,
Which I would hope after the end of the movie, Brody got his job back, given that there was a shark.
Yeah, I would think so.
I would feel like all the kids, plus one of them being Mayor Vaughn's son, would help convince everyone to be like, hey, there was a shark. Chief wasn't acting crazy for no reason. It's okay.
Yeah, and he killed it like the coolest guy ever, so...
Which, side note, when he did think there was a shark at the beach, there was actually a school of bluefish. They all clumped together as fish do, and what he saw was what he thought was a shark. Yeah, you shouldn't be in the water with bluefish either, because when they get into feeding frenzy, they can strip you down to the bone, just like people think piranhas do.
Oh. I'm not familiar with bluefish.
Yeah, they could be just as dangerous as sharks in the right circumstances, which it seemed like they were in a feeding frenzy in the movie.
Yeah. Huh. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Let's see. Joseph Mascalo plays Len Peterson, one of the newer characters in this movie. He's got kind of a thing for Brody's wife, Ellen, and at one point there was meant to be a love triangle between those three, but I'm glad they dropped it. Although this is the second time that Ellen Brody had a love triangle subplot cut from a Jaws movie, given how in the first movie they cut out the Brody Hooper love triangle that was in the book.
Yeah, that's odd. She seems like a good wife. I wouldn't want to give him any sort of problems.
Yeah, it's not like in the book where she's a cheating whore.
Oh. Yeah, I don't want that.
Jeffrey Kramer returns from the first movie as Hendrix, the deputy to Brody. And like with Ellen, he gets a little bit more to do in this time around.
I don't even remember who that is.
He's the other cop.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, he does get a little bit more in this one.
Mark Gruner and let's find the other Mark Gilpin. They're both named Mark. Play Brody's kids, Mike and Sean. Which kind of a funny thing going on here. In the first Jaws, Mike was a very much younger kid. Maybe he's around 10. Here he's like 18. So it's kind of kind of weird how he aged so much in like 3 years.
Yeah. That is kind of odd.
I don't know. Maybe they're going by Rocky V rules, where in between movies the kid just ages almost a decade for no reason.
Was it just 3 years?
Yeah, because the first movie was released in 1975. This one released in 1978.
Oh, but canonically, maybe it could have been a longer distance.
Well, canonically, they don't really say, so I'm forced to take the movie's release dates as when the movies take place.
All right. I'm just saying that's not my biggest. I don't really care.
Like it's not the biggest problem, but it's still kind of weird.
Okay. I can see why it would be weird. Yeah.
Now this keeps going with the next couple of movies too, because Mike just grows at an exponential rate. It's like he got growth hormones from the Kaminoans or something. It's weird.
Yeah.
Anyways, so Jaws 2, not a very necessary sequel, but it's fine enough, I guess.
Yeah. I don't even think you've said the plot yet, really.
Oh, yeah. So, basically what's going on in Jaws 2, a couple of divers get eaten by a shark, and Martin discovers their yacht and their camera that were recovered from the wreck. Not really a wreck. But these two divers were also basically doing some exploration of the orca from the first movie.
Yeah, and the camera was like an underwater designed camera.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So they had it under with them while they're scuba diving.
And unbeknownst to everyone else, another shark starts wreaking havoc along the island. Brody feels like something is up when some more accidents happen after a water skier and her friend mysteriously die, which is kind of funny. The water skier gets eaten by the shark, of course, as you know, as one does. But then her friend, who's in the boat, well, first she gets attacked by the shark. Okay, standard stuff. But then she pours gasoline all over herself and the shark, and then lights them all on fire, and that makes the boat explode. Like, what were you thinking, lady?
Yeah, she gets exploded.
She's kind of stupid.
That one was an interesting death.
That was absolutely ridiculous.
It was, yeah.
More things, more accidents and bodies keep popping up, like that of an orca pops up near the lighthouse that these kids like to hang out at, which, side note, was actually a take that against a movie that had came out the previous year, Orca, which had a similar take that against the first Jaws, with one of the orcas killing a great white shark. This time, a great white shark kills an orca, which I don't need to say that wouldn't really happen in real life, but this is a movie.
Yeah, it's a movie, so it's all right.
But given some orcas aren't necessarily shark killers, it could have happened, maybe.
I guess so.
Get a mean enough shark and a maybe solitary and maybe not so experienced orca. It could happen.
Yeah, sure.
But still, 9 times out of 10, my money's on the orca against the white shark.
Yeah, probably.
Eventually, it gets to the point where Martin gets fired after he, like I said, he mistakes a school of bluefish for a shark and shoots his gun at the beach, almost hitting a kid. Which, okay, maybe they do have a good cause to fire him. Yeah,
he did shoot his gun in a crowded area for no reason. So,
while this is going on, Brody's son Mike and all his teenage friends are they're cruising, but instead of other kids during the time would do in their cars, they're doing it on their sailboats in the ocean, which I guess
when you live on an island, that's what you're gonna do.
This leads them into the path of the shark of this movie.
Yes.
So Brody has to go and rescue his son and all their friends.
Yep.
It's an interesting plot, but it's fine enough, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely don't expect the sequel to be as good, so my expectations weren't too high. Yeah, so I mean it's acceptable.
Yeah, if the Jaws movies just remained the first one and this one, we would have an excellent movie and a mediocre sequel. And I feel like this series would be looked on a bit more fondly, but it ain't like that.
I don't know. I haven't seen the other sequels, so we'll have to save that for next time.
Bro. They're not good.
So I've heard, yeah.
So the original movie filmed on Martha's Vineyard, an island off the coast of Massachusetts. But this one filmed mostly around Fort Walton Beach in Florida.
Okay.
As shown by the white sand beaches as opposed to the more sand-colored beaches of the original.
Yeah, you could tell. It is a little different.
Like I said, Roy Scheider did not like making the movie. And he later referred to it as lousy.
Yeah.
But years afterwards, he sort of mellowed out towards the movie.
Okay, yeah.
Robert Shaw was not in this movie, obviously, given he died in the original movie. But a few months before he died, he had the chance to see a screening of this movie.
Oh, yeah?
His reaction was, and I quote, "I'm glad I did not intervene in this piece of shit." That seems a bit harsh.
It's a little harsh, but yeah, it definitely does not live up to Jaws.
No, it doesn't.
That is hard to do, though. I will say that.
Now, while the teenage actors were filming the raft scenes, at one point they were being circled by a real shark.
Oh, that would freak me out.
Yeah, all of the actors were scared and began to scream and holler at the crew who was filming them. Now the crew didn't know that there was an actual shark, and they thought that the kids were just being good actors, so they just kept it in.
They're like, man, these kids, they know how to act. They're gonna be Oscar winners someday, man. That's hilarious.
So yeah, this also had a very troubled production. Not quite as much as the first one, but still, when it came to finding a director, finding a script, getting Roy Scheider to actually do the movie, Gino Schwartz is trouble with not just Scheider but other actors as well. This had some problems.
Yeah.
There was also problems, of course, with the actual sharks.
What do you mean actual sharks?
Well, like the sharks they used.
Okay. I didn't know if you meant like actual sharks or just like the robot sharks.
But also actual sharks too.
Oh.
The final budget of this movie later ballooned up to $30 million, which isn't much for today, but back then it was a pretty decent chunk of change. Although the movie did end up becoming one of the highest grossing movies of the 1970s, so it all worked out in the end.
Yeah. Sure.
Now, would you like to know some more trivia about this movie?
Yes. Tell me more.
So Matt Hooper was supposed to appear in this movie again, but Richard Dreyfuss, of course, was occupied. So we only hear the back end of him being on the phone with Ellen Brody.
Yeah, I remember that in the movie.
At one point, the plot was going to involve the sons of Quint and Brody hunting a new shark, which,
Yeah, I don't know how interesting that would be.
At one point in one of the more final drafts of the screenplay, the helicopter pilot and Marge, that girl who rescues Sean after their boat capsizes and gets eaten, were supposed to survive.
Oh.
The pilot was supposed to be able to breathe in an air bubble in his helicopter's cockpit. And Marge was going to avoid the shark by diving underwater. The pilot would have spotted her and brought her into the cockpit.
Okay.
I don't necessarily hate that they died. I don't love that they died. But, in a movie like this, we got to have a body count.
Yeah, there's got to be some deaths,
Which, funny thing, this movie shares some of the same tropes with some of the slasher movies that would come out in recent years. Actually, this movie predates the original Halloween by a few months.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny that it has some of those same tropes while predating all of them.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I didn't even think about that before.
Now, granted, no one is taking their boobas out or having sex, but you still got a group of teenagers being stalked by a killer, and they get picked off one by one.
Yeah. A lot of them survive, though.
Yeah, most of them do, which... These aren't the most interesting characters, but they're likable enough.
Yeah, you're right. They're not the best, but they definitely could be a whole lot worse.
Yeah, at worst, some of them might have annoying voices, and you're just indifferent about them. But that's a very small minority of them.
Yeah, I agree.
So do you have anything more to say on Jaws 2?
No. I've heard this is the best of the sequels, so yeah, I'm nervous about starting the others.
Oh, don't worry. Jaws 3 is the best kind of bad movie. Think The Room for Jaws movies.
All right.
Okay.
So I might enjoy it.
Actually, no, I'm overselling it.
Oh no. I'll figure it out on my own.
Think the Batman and Robin of Jaws movies.
Okay. I'm ready.
Not quite as funny though.
Nah.
But still, it's entertaining enough to where you're not gonna hate your experience, but it's still not a great movie or a good one.
Okay.
Now Jaws 4 is where things get really bad.
Oh boy. Yeah. Okay.
But that's enough for today. We will catch you next time when we talk about Jaws 3, which I don't know why I'm signing off like this.
Yeah,
It's going to be a multi-part thing.
Don't sign off, Tyler.
Okay. Next, we have Jaws 3.
Jaws 3. Let's go.
Well, I told y'all it was going to get worse with these sequels, and Jaws 3, or as it was originally known, Jaws 3D, given out it was in 3D, just proves that.
Yeah. We did not watch it in 3D.
No. Which I think would have been... It is for the best, because as is, this movie looks absolutely disgusting with its plenty of out-of-focus shots and just general overexposed film in general.
Yeah, it is not a pretty picture to watch, that is for sure.
And that's before we get into the actual movie. If it just looks bad to watch, then you know you're in for a rough trip.
Yeah, you were right with this one. I didn't really know what to expect. You just told me it was bad. So yeah, that was quite a waste of time.
Yeah, and just think, this is still not as bad as Jaws: The Revenge.
I don't even know what to do then.
Let's stop jerking around though. Let's get into this absolute mess. Jaws 3 was directed by Joe Alves, who was previously the production designer on the first two Jaws movies. He got promoted to the director's chair, and this was the only movie this man ever directed.
Well,
we can see why.
Yep, we can see why.
With flat characters, poorly handled subplots, and just an overall mess of a story and script, it's no wonder he didn't work as a director again.
Yeah, I feel like this one definitely ruined his dreams of directing.
But I don't want to be too harsh on the guy. He did inherit an absolute dumpster fire of a script that had gone through several hands and was... Look, this thing had a wild ride to get made in the first place. So we shouldn't be too harsh on the guy, in all honesty.
Yeah, I'm sure he probably had lots of troubles.
For one, Jaws 3 was at one point meant to be a sort of parody of the Jaws movies. With, at one point, the title was going to be Jaws 3, People Zero, with Roger Bumpass, better known these days as Squidward from SpongeBob, being in the lead.
Yes, I am familiar with that name.
That didn't happen, and honestly, maybe that would have been. It certainly would have been a different movie. Would it have been better? Who's to say? But couldn't have been worse than this.
Yeah, this is pretty bad.
This movie stars Dennis Quaid as Mike Brody, one of the few characters who is in all 4 Jaws movies.
Oh, that is quite interesting.
Now, reportedly, Dennis Quaid didn't even remember being in this movie because he was high on cocaine the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do to get through this movie.
His love interest, Dr. Catherine Morgan, is played by Bess Armstrong. They have a sort of subplot where Mike is accepting a transfer to Venezuela at some point, and occasionally they talk about maybe she'll join him there, maybe they'll wait for him to come back because she has this job opportunity at the Scripps Institute over in California. But it just gets resolved in a quick throwaway line like, yeah, maybe I'll join you. Like, okay, that's... Well, the movie certainly didn't devote much time to this, so maybe I shouldn't care about it either.
Yeah, it definitely does not get, talked about between the characters, and it just like, oh, all of a sudden they're like, okay, that's good.
Simon McCorkindale plays Philip Fitzroyce, a seemingly douchey British photographer who is there to take pictures of the park. Oh yeah, I forgot. This movie takes place entirely at SeaWorld. It doesn't take place on Amity Island like the first 2 movies did. And I'm not too upset about this. A nice change of pace it can be needed.
Yeah, it is good to change scenery every once in a while. If it were a good movie.
But here's the thing, though. So SeaWorld in Florida, in real life, is in Orlando. A landlocked city in Florida. There is a SeaWorld that connects to the ocean, which this SeaWorld, in the movies, they have this lagoon that they say is connected to the ocean, directly. Okay. Not in Orlando, it's not, though. The only SeaWorld that connects to the ocean is the one in San Diego, California. This is all a bit silly, I think.
Yeah, I'm just saying, that's not the biggest problem.
No, it's not, but I am going to mention it anyways.
You can suspend belief and be like...
I will not.
Oh, alright. You will not.
Look, I am from San Diego. I know that SeaWorld like the back of my hand. That one is connected to the ocean. Well, okay, it's not technically connected to the ocean, but it's right next to the ocean.
Yeah.
The one in Orlando is not. This is really silly. Get out of my face, please. Not you, the movie.
Okay. I was about to say, I'm not even in your face.
P.H. Moriarty plays Fitzroyce's right-hand man. And honestly, these two, I didn't mind their characters in this movie. You meet them for the first time and you think, okay, these guys are going to be douchey. They're British. They kind of suck. But actually, they ended up being kind of likable, in all honesty.
Yeah, you know how those British characters are.
Not nearly enough to save the movie, but... I'm just gonna say it right now. These two are my favorite characters in the whole movie. They were okay.
Yeah, I guess. I don't even know if I have a favorite character.
They had a nice enough friendship, and it is a little sad to see Jack's reaction to Fitzroyce getting eaten by the shark. I guess spoiler alert, but I don't really care.
Yeah, you gotta expect some people are gonna be eaten by the shark.
Or not eaten, as we see from this from this big old shark, because this guy gets stuck in the back of her throat. For some reason, I don't know. It's just so that Mike and Kate can use the grenade that he had on him to blow the shark up. Whatever.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the shark just has a problem chewing her food.
Well, sharks don't chew their food. They rip their food apart.
She has a problem ripping her food. Speaking
of which, this movie is a... Look, I know, it's a horror movie. You got to take some liberties with animal biology. That's not a problem. In real life, sharks do not go around eating people left and right. That's not a thing they do. So I'm able to suspend my disbelief in that case for this movie. But there are several points where these sharks, the shark biology does not add up like it does in real life. For instance, they have this baby shark that they have in captivity that when it dies, it just goes belly up. That does not happen when sharks die. They just sink to the bottom because sharks do not have swim bladders to keep them afloat. That's why they always have to keep moving forward, which leads me into my other problem. Sharks can only move forward. They can't swim backwards. And we see the main shark in this movie swim backwards repeatedly. That's not how that works.
Yeah, the shark does go backwards quite a bit. Like whenever she's getting out of her hiding place, she's just kind of shuffling backwards underwater.
Okay. John Putch plays Sean Brody, the younger sibling of Mike, and he doesn't really have too much to do except just hang out with his lady friend Kelly, played by Leah Thompson, and actually her first movie role ever.
Oh, I did not know that. Too bad it was this one.
Yeah, too bad it was this one, but she did okay. She'd be in the Back to the Future trilogy and Red Dawn in the span of just a few years, so I think she did okay.
Yeah, it didn't affect her negatively.
But then again, she was also in Howard the Duck, so maybe she doesn't make the best career decisions.
Yeah, might need some advice with those.
I don't know. She has more money than both of us combined, so I think she's doing just fine.
I have zero money.
Okay, so like I said, this is not a good movie. I do not like it. I have something of a soft spot for it, considering I'd watch this movie a lot as a kid. But looking back, kid me was kind of stupid.
It's very
ass.
Yeah, I was gonna say ugly because it's just very grainy. It's out of focus a lot. The visuals are just they're just not working for it.
Oh, that's another thing. So, like I said, this movie was in 3D initially. It was a part of a new craze back in the 80s where they were making movies into 3D. Other movies did this too, like Friday the 13th Part 3, Amityville Horror 3. They decided to do the third part for 3D, which I get it. It's a gimmick. You got to do it. But the way they did it is, they have just random things flying at the screen, or have random things like being focused on in the screen. So it's like these would be the things that would be popping out in 3D. I don't mind that too much. Like it's part of the gimmick. You got to expect that sort of thing. Like at one point, someone fills a needle, a hypodermic needle with like 3 quarts of piss, and then shoots it straight at the screen. Stuff like that. It's just the part of the gimmick. You gotta roll with it, man. What I mind is when they focus on these really crappy, terrible special effects, where the chroma keying is just so off. It's just things are just clipping through the blue screen and just not blending right. It's awful.
Yeah, it's very bad. I'm agreeing with you with that.
And these aren't special effects that you have to freeze frame in order to catch. They focus on them. For some reason, they were proud of these scenes.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, were they considered bad for the time too?
Yes.
Okay. Because I watch them. I'm just like, there's no way anyone would think this is a good visual right here.
I don't know, man. Let's get into the trivia for this, because honestly, I mean, do you feel like roasting this movie a little bit more?
I don't know. Should we even? No, I'm whatever you want to do, babe.
Oh, I have one more thing. So, like I said, this movie takes place at SeaWorld. You already heard my rant about inland water parks connecting to the ocean, yada yada. But I'm kind of confused as to why SeaWorld agreed to this partnership, given that all the horrible things happen. It's like, this is not a ringing endorsement for your park. Like, yeah, come to SeaWorld. You might die.
You'll get attacked by a great white shark.
Which the size of the shark, it's a bit weird. Okay, so on record, the biggest great white shark that has ever been found was this white shark female named Deep Blue. I'm not sure if she's still alive or not. I want to hope she is, because why not? She was around 20 feet long. The shark in this movie it is 35 feet, which outpaces the average and the largest length of most orcas in the wild. Honestly, I'm not too upset about this. I just wanted to point it out because, again, this is a horror movie. You got to make some allowances with reality, so this actually doesn't bother me too much.
All right, fair enough.
I just wanted to point it out because I thought it was a little funny.
Sure, yeah, a little funny.
Where was I going before this?
I have no idea. We getting into the plot at all, or we're just jumping into trivia?
I mean, is there really any point to getting into this half-baked plot about some baby great white shark who gets trapped in a lagoon at SeaWorld, and his mom has to come eat all the humans because she was pissed off because he died? Which, by the way, does not actually happen in real life. Sharks don't really give a damn whether their kids live or die or not.
Yeah, I'd say they probably, just lay the eggs and then skedaddle?
Well, they don't even lay eggs. They give live birth.
Oh, yeah, sharks do. So they just probably...
Well, some sharks do lay eggs, but those are the more smaller ones. White sharks, yeah, they do give live birth.
So, poop the baby out and then swim away?
Pretty much.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, okay, anyways, let's... I mean, I think I summed up the plot pretty well.
Yeah. Shark comes into SeaWorld, kills people, blows up, you know.
Anyways. So, despite the problems I do have with this movie concerning great white shark biology, it does have some accidentally correct things in it.
All right, like what?
Like when the baby white shark dies from the stress of being in captivity. That happens in real life when white sharks are attempted to be held in captivity.
Yeah, I've heard that. Every time someone's tried to have a great white shark in captivity, it's died pretty quickly.
Yeah, the longest a white shark was ever in captivity was 198 days at the Monterey Bay Aquarium. A young female was kept in an outdoor tank for that long before being released back into the wild.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
Since you're a smart shark guy, why? So you keep calling them white sharks instead of great white sharks. Is there a difference?
No, I just don't want to say the whole name.
Oh, fair enough. I was just wondering.
And at first they think this baby white shark is... Well, they think it's the shark, you know? Mm-hmm. So they have to get into the lagoon and trank it in order to get it into a safer holding pen.
Yeah. That reminds me, whenever... Like, I've always wondered this. I've never been scuba diving before, obviously. So whenever they get... Because I thought it was funny because the guy kind of, like, pushes her off the boat. But whenever they get into their, scuba suits, you always see people fall backwards. Why don't they fall forwards?
Well, if they fell forward, they'd go back into the boat.
Dude, that was a good one. Oh boy, that one. Whew.
But you're asking why they fall backwards off the boat instead of going forward?
Yes, why do... I know if they fall forwards, they're going to be in the boat. But yeah, why do they go backwards?
Well, part of it is because the tanks on their back will help break the surface tension so they'll go in smoother.
See, I kind of thought it was to do something with their tanks. I didn't know if maybe they... Because it's like you can just jump in the water. But okay. Thank you.
Also, going backwards helps keep the boat steadier too.
Oh.
But then again, with a boat like that, it's probably not too much of a concern.
Yeah, I thought they were just jumping off of the dock in the movie.
It was more like a movable barge.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah, if they go forward, they'll still be in the boat. That's a good one.
I can't take credit for that. I can't. I would love to, but I can't.
Oh, that's funny. Makes me laugh.
But getting back to the white sharks in captivity, well, you see, you take an animal that's used to swimming dozens, if not hundreds of miles a day, and put it into this small area. It's going to get restless pretty fast. We see this with orcas in captivity, specifically at SeaWorld.
Yeah.
Add on to the fact that white sharks like to hunt. These are apex predators. They don't like being fed by people. And the fact that white sharks, like other shark species, they have an innate electrical sense to them. They can detect faint traces of electricity in living bodies. That's just the natural electricity that flows in all of us. So they're able to find the electric wires in a wall, and they end up bashing themselves in trying to get at them.
Yeah. Sounds like we should just keep them in the ocean.
Yeah, I agree, and most scientists do too.
Yeah, I can see why. Yeah.
It's only in Zoo Tycoon where we can have white sharks in captivity.
Yeah, and on the original Zoo Tycoon, you can make them do tricks.
Yeah, that's a little weird, but
That's pretty cool. That's pretty rad.
They probably saw Blue Planet and thought, man, that looks really cool. Let's have them do that in the game too.
I'm not familiar with that, I guess.
Anyways.
Oh, well. Keep going on. You got more trivia for me?
Yeah, a little bit. There's one character I didn't talk about yet. Calvin Bouchard, played by, at the time, just recent Oscar winner Louis Gossett Jr.
Oh.
This is the first project he undertook after winning his Oscar, probably because of the money.
What do you win an Oscar for?
He won an Oscar for this movie called An Officer and a Gentleman. He plays this drill instructor training Navy officer candidates.
Never heard of it.
So, funnily enough, Dennis Quaid and Leah Thompson became engaged after working on this movie.
Oh.
They broke up like 3 years later, though.
Yeah. I was thinking I didn't know they were married, so that makes sense.
Okay, so like with the other Jaws movies, there are some, what ifs about this one. Like, what could have happened differently?
Yeah, I bet.
Jennifer Jason Leigh auditioned for the role of Kelly before.
What?
Did you? What was weird about what I just said?
Did you just end your sentence with
No, maybe. Does it matter?
Yes, because it threw me off my focusing game. Anyways, who is that? Because I don't know.
Oh, that's right. I haven't shown you the Hateful Eight yet.
No.
Anyways, don't worry about it. We'll get there maybe sometime this year.
Okay.
Peter Firth and David Warner were offered the role of Phil Fitzroyce. Could have been interesting.
Yeah. I'll pretend I know them too.
Universal wanted the shark to be the one that was electrocuted to death at the end of Jaws 2. That could have been interesting, I guess.
The shark comes back to life.
Yeah.
Oh boy, Frankenstein shark.
Makes about as much sense as anything that happened in the actual movie.
You're right.
The writer, Richard Matheson, was requested to write a role specifically for Mickey Rooney. Then Mickey Rooney ended up not being in the movie.
What role was he writing, or did they just erase that?
They probably just scrapped the character in general.
Yeah, that's funny.
Now, is there anything good about this movie? A little bit here and there.
I like the dolphins.
Yeah.
What do you like?
Well, those two British guys, like I said, were okay.
Yeah. And I like the dolphins, yeah.
Oh, the score for this movie, which, just backtracking a little to Jaws 2, which I can't remember if I mentioned this, but Jaws 2 had the good fortune of having its score composed by John Williams again, like in the first movie.
Which one of our cats just meowed?
I don't know, man.
I think Willie's meowing in his sleep.
Dumb boy.
Anyways, yeah, John Williams. In this one, he's not involved, it seemed.
No, he wasn't involved. They used his shark score because why not?
Yeah. I mean, you got to, I guess.
However, the score this time was composed by Alan Parker, who does a fine enough job.
Yeah, sure. You know, it's perfectly fine. Definitely not as memorable, but it's fine.
It fits the tone of this movie fine enough, and it's okay. It's not winning any Oscars like the first one did, but it's decent enough.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that wraps up all we have to say about Jaws 3. It's a pretty crappy movie. And to think, it only gets worse.
Yeah. I mean, if you're interested in watching it, maybe grab a few friends, grab some popcorn.
Grab some alcohol.
Yeah, goof off while you watch this movie. That's probably the best way to watch it.
Now, to give a bit of a introduction for this next one before we get into it, Jaws the Revenge was conceived as kind of a retcon for Jaws 3, which we'll see soon enough because it pretends like this one didn't exist, but then it also was absolutely awful. So what good did it do anyways?
All right, I'm ready, I guess. Let's do it. Bring it on.
Yeah.
Yay.
This movie sucks. Let's get that straight off the bat. Jaws the Revenge is absolute dog water. I don't know why they made the decisions they made with this movie. It's an absolute friggin' mystery to me.
Yeah, it's very boring, and it's just it's hard to watch because it's so boring.
Yeah, the only halfway passable maybe plot going on was Mike and his friend Jake doing their marine biology thing, and then they come across this shark, which could have been an interesting plot all its own, but unfortunately, I don't care about anyone in this movie really.
Yeah, that you don't get invested in the characters. You don't really care what's going on. So yeah, it was hard for me to get through.
Let me put it like this. Okay, so currently I'm ranking every single movie or whatever I'm watching this year on Letterboxd. Okay, best to worst, obviously. That's how rankings go.
Obviously.
And when I put Jaws the Revenge on here, it went straight to the bottom because that's just how Letterboxd does things. It lists things in order. You know how lists work.
Sure.
Yeah, I didn't have to move it anywhere. It stays there. It's probably going to stay there for the rest of the year.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me.
Okay, well, let's go over the plot real quick because there's not much of it. When Ellen Brody's son Sean Brody is killed by a shark, she's convinced by her other son Michael to visit the Bahamas with them to keep her mind off things, but the shark follows them because it has some sort of vendetta against the Brody family, because all its shark buddies got killed by Brodies in the last few movies.
Yeah, some sort of crazy shark.
That's dumb as hell, man.
Yeah, I also thought it was kind of wild that they killed off the son within the first 10 minutes.
First 10 minutes. Now, I didn't necessarily care about this character this time around.
No.
Heck, I haven't really cared about either of the Brodies since Jaws 2. But, yeah, they just kill this guy off, which we'll get into this later about in the what could have been section. But it's just...
You can't even form words.
No, this movie is absolutely stupid.
Yeah, I did not care for it.
Also, when they finally get down to the Bahamas, the shark follows them. Like, it just zooms down there. It gets the zoomies like our cat does after he poops.
Yeah, and how did that shark know they were going to the Bahamas? Was it spying on them? Does it understand English?
Maybe.
That's the only reason.
The shark works for the government and it has contacts with the NSA, so it's bugging their house.
Yeah, either that or it's psychic.
Well, at one point there was supposed to be this voodoo shaman subplot where this voodoo guy sent this shark after the Brodies because Michael pissed him off or something. That made it into the novelization of the movie, which The novelization is supposed to be passable.
That sounds ridiculous, but it also it sounds funny enough that if it was in a movie, maybe maybe it would be enjoyable.
But even still, that doesn't really match up with the tone or the setting of the last three movies either.
No.
At no point was anything supernatural, suggested. Now, granted, you could say, oh, but the shark going after all these people, that's pretty weird. Yeah, but that's just in general horror movie stuff. That's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, I have no idea how this shark followed them.
Anyways, let's get into the cast.
Yeah.
Lorraine Gary returns from the first two movies. Now, at the time, she had been retired for the last 8 years. The last movie she had appeared in was Steven Spielberg's 1941. Probably his worst movie, too. So, you know what? She's got a very stellar record.
I don't know. I have not seen that, so I don't know.
And she has not appeared in any movie since Jaws: The Revenge. Though, to be fair, she probably just retired.
Retired, yeah. I would too after that movie.
Yeah, her husband was heading Universal Pictures at the time, so he convinced her to come out of retirement to do this.
Yeah. Yeah, that would take some convincing.
Lance Guest is the newest actor to play Michael Brody. They can never get actors to stay between movies. Dennis Quaid was actually asked to come back after Jaws 3, but he just did not want to.
Fair enough. I don't blame him.
Probably because he would have needed a whole lot more cocaine to get through this movie.
Yeah, probably.
Mario Van Peebles plays Mike's research partner, Jake, which also, Mike is suddenly a marine biologist in this movie after being an engineer in the last one. Now, I guess it's true that people can decide to change careers midway through their 20s or something, but this seems like it's kind of retconning, which I explained at the end of the Jaws 3 segment that, yeah, they were trying to basically act as if Jaws 3D didn't exist, but in return we got something that's even worse.
Yeah, because he already had career plans for engineering, and his wife is an artist now. Are they supposed to be the same people?
No.
Okay. So he broke up with that one girl, I guess.
He broke up with Dr. Morgan, which, she was the marine biologist in the last one, and actually Bess Armstrong was asked to come back for this one, but she didn't want to come back either.
So they're like, we'll just give him a different wife.
Now this one I'm not gonna be too picky over, because it's possible for people to, break up and get with new people. That's entirely possible, so that's not really a fault of the movie.
Yeah, I could believe that. That's fine.
Michael Caine appears as Hoagie, a airplane pilot who Ellen strikes up a romance with.
Yeah.
God bless you, Michael Caine. You're not exactly saving this movie, but you're making it a little bit more bearable.
Yeah, no idea why he well, like you said, he probably needed the money.
Oh, I'll get into that.
Okay. Because it's Michael Caine, so I wouldn't really expect to see him in this movie, but yeah, he's there.
The late Judith Barcy plays Thea, Mike's daughter. This is one of the last movies she did before her. Well, let's not mince words. Her jealous piece of shit dad murdered her and her mother.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I've heard that story before.
Mitchell Anderson plays Sean Brody for the two scenes he gets, where he gets immediately munched.
Yeah, dies pretty quickly.
And thank God, because he doesn't have to be in this movie for very much longer.
Yep. Show up, get his paycheck, leave.
We get a few cameos from people in the original movie. Fritzy Jane Courtney plays Mrs. Taft, one of the townspeople, and Lee Fierro plays Mrs. Kintner, the mother of Alex Kintner, the little boy who got eaten in the first movie.
Yeah, we remember that.
Okay, this was your first viewing of Jaws: The Revenge. And safe to say you didn't like it.
No, I did not. I did not like it.
I would rather watch Jaws 3 than this nonsense.
Yeah.
And if you've heard how we feel about that, that's saying something.
Yeah, I don't really like either of them, but yeah, this one was worse just because
it's a lot blander.
Yeah.
It's a lot more tepid. It's a lot more flaccid. This is basically the erectile dysfunction of the Jaws movies.
Yeah, it was like impossible to watch without me doing something else. With Jaws 3, I could at least like pay attention.
Yeah, with Jaws 3, you can laugh at how bad this is.
Yeah.
Like, all these terrible effects, you can laugh at it. And there's at least something going on in this movie. It's absolutely ridiculous and stupid, but it's something that's happening. There's something going on to keep your attention for the most part.
Yeah, and then Jaws 4, it's just like,
I could take a nap.
yeah, I could. Very boring.
Yeah, just do yourself a favor. Don't watch this one. Don't watch Jaws 3 either. I guess you could watch Jaws 2. It's fine enough.
Yeah, Jaws 2, especially compared to 3 and 4, is much better.
You know, just watch the first one and the second one if you're really interested in seeing what happens next.
Yeah. That's really all you need. Just watch the first one. Pretend the others don't exist.
Okay, so this movie apparently took 9 months to make from being greenlit to the release date. That's a very short time schedule, which explains all the absolute nonsense going on here.
Yeah. Yeah, you could tell it was definitely rushed.
Like, the shark effects are even worse. You see some of the mechanics in that are just out of frame, but are in frame, if that makes sense. They're just at the edge of the frame, so where you can catch them.
Yeah, you can see them. Some of them are more obvious than others.
There was some of these problems with the first 3 movies too, but A, those movies are a lot better, including 3, and B, it didn't happen nearly as much.
Yeah, they disguised them better, I guess.
Yeah, at one point, Michael Caine gets out of the water after almost being eaten by the shark, and he's completely dry. Why? How? What?
It looks funny. I still think he looked wet.
No, he was dry because Michael Caine even talked about this too. He said that he didn't want to get wet again, and no one had noticed, so he just didn't say anything.
No one noticed. Because I was like, well, his clothes seemed passable. I was like, he might not be soaking wet, but I could tell. Yeah, but that's pretty hilarious that he was just dry. He didn't want to get wet. That's funny.
Also, Michael Caine generally prefers not to really acknowledge this movie.
I understand that.
He's never watched it, but he's pretty aware of its bad reputation.
Well, yeah, he was in it, so he knows.
He had actually done this movie because he needed money to build a house that he was building. The costs had run a bit more expensive than he was planning, in addition to his move from LA back to England.
I mean, yeah, you gotta do what you gotta do. I'd take the job too, you know. I need the money.
And he couldn't, because of his filming this, he couldn't actually appear to accept his first Oscar that he won for Hannah and Her Sisters.
Aw, man.
But it's okay. He was able to accept his next Oscar or for The Cider House Rules.
Yeah, there you go.
And Caine, in regards to this movie, said something along these lines, that he hadn't seen the movie, but by all accounts it was terrible. But he's seen the house that it built, and that it's terrific.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. I don't blame him at all for doing this movie.
Now, you've probably seen... You probably noticed how Jake got eaten but then survived.
Yeah, that stumped me.
Well, that's because test audiences wanted him to somehow survive.
Even though it looked like he was pretty chewed up by the shark.
It's okay. Shark just doesn't like black guys.
A racist shark.
Is it racist of the shark to not eat black guys? Maybe?
Maybe. Or is it more racist that he didn't? I feel like this is a conversation on Always Sunny before.
It might have been. Is Shark racist for not eating Jake? I don't know. But he did eat that... Okay, the shark was mostly after the Brody family. And he did eat one of those ladies on the banana boat who wasn't a Brody.
Yeah.
So...
She was white.
She was, yeah.
Yeah. Dude, I don't know. We could have a racist shark, or we could not.
Or he could be, or he could just hate white people.
Yeah.
So that would still be racism.
Yeah. Dude, I don't know.
Maybe, I don't know.
Well, maybe we could say the woman was a mistake because he was going after the little girl, and she got in the way.
Maybe.
So we could say maybe he's not racist. He's just after that family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And by the time he hit,
Uh-oh.
hold on,
Gotta plug in the computer.
keep talking.
Yeah. That's what I'm gonna say. The shark isn't racist, but just really hates that family.
Yeah. Although the idea of a racist shark is a little funny.
Yeah, that's pretty hilarious.
Like, imagine racist Jaws. I'm pretty sure the Asylum has made a movie like this already, but who knows?
Who knows?
Anyways, let's get back to this. Yeah, this movie absolutely destroyed the Jaws franchise. It is one of the few movies on Rotten Tomatoes that have a 0% score.
Oh.
The first movie has near 100, and it just
Yeah.
went downhill from there.
Completely reversed, yeah. Yeah, the first Jaws, original Jaws is so good. And this one is like, you can't even call it the same movie.
It's
like,
not. This is barely in the same
Yeah.
franchise.
It's just completely different.
Yeah. Other reasons why Kane appeared in this movie, other than the money he needed, he wanted to get a nice vacation to the Bahamas. Can't really blame him there. That's how Adam Sandler makes movies.
Yeah, like that's like I don't really know how it works, but I would assume they pay for your stay to go down there and be an actor.
He also liked working with his co-star, so that at least the experience that everyone had on set was all right.
Yeah, that's good.
It also helped that he had a love interest that was actually around his age for once.
Yeah. Yeah, they were fine. They seemed like they had some chemistry, I guess.
I guess one of them has to.
Yeah.
Now, Hoagie also had a line about doing laundry when he's not flying people. This was another deleted subplot involving smuggling drugs.
Nice.
Now, this was kept in the novelization, though.
Okay, was the novel written before or after the movie?
Well, it was based on an earlier script.
Okay. That makes sense. Any other fun trivia you got for me?
Oh yeah, this set back the careers of like a lot of the people in this movie, like Lorraine Gary, but then again, she was also retired, so I doubt she was too upset about that.
Yeah, I'd be done after that movie too.
Michael Caine's career was hurt by this until he had a career resurrection in the late 90s.
Yeah. Yeah, he seems fine now. He's doing fine.
Yeah, he worked with the Muppets. He's fine.
Yeah, that's like top tier.
And he just retired in the last couple years.
Oh yeah. He recovered from it.
Well, he's in his 90s, so he deserves
He's
it.
old, yeah.
Lance Guest, his up and coming career absolutely crashed and burned after this.
Yeah, I don't even know who that is. Is it the son?
He was Mike, yeah.
Mike, yeah.
Although, I should mention this. Lance Guest did later serve as a pallbearer at Judith Barcy's funeral.
Oh. That's kind of cool. It's cool in a sad way. Like, it's cool he did that. But, yeah, even though it's a big tragedy, yeah.
Well,
oh, gosh.
Well, we can rest assured that Judith Barcy's father is most likely rotting in hell right now.
Okay, yeah. I mean, you're probably not wrong.
All right. So now, like with most movies, there's a lot of things that could have gone differently. The studio at one point considered making this movie in 3D.
I mean, we see how the last one went in 3D.
Yeah, bro, just don't do it. There was worries about the cost of shipping the 3D cameras to the Bahamas and keeping them working in the tropical climate.
Yeah, it's probably best that they did not do that.
Okay, so this movie has a slightly different ending if you're watching this on TV or home media. On TV, it's a lot more violent with the shark getting impaled by the bow of the boat and just absolutely bleeding out like a sprinkler.
Ew.
Here, it just gets this crappy, like last minute exploding thing where it's if you pause it at the right second, you can see looks like absolute dog crap.
Yeah, it looks like a bath toy covered in red paint. Excuse
you.
me, I'm sorry. But I'm still confused why it exploded. I know they put like something in his mouth, but that looks like a flashlight.
Yeah, that was something to do with messing with the shark and its electric senses.
Yeah, so I have no idea why it exploded.
Bro, I don't know. Just go with
It
it.
was really gassy.
The movie's over.
Yeah. Oh boy, that's crazy.
Roy Scheider and Richard Dreyfuss were reportedly offered roles in the movie, but declined. Apparently, Scheider's original part was going to be Sean's, where he gets eaten by the shark in the first 10 minutes.
Oh,
That would have been stupid.
yeah, that would have been.
And Richard Dreyfuss was going to have a cameo over the phone at the funeral.
Oh, yeah. That's not too interesting if they're not gonna be utilized, you know. So yeah, I think it's best that they didn't.
Yeah, probably best they didn't appear in this.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, there was going to be this whole conversation about past events and stuff like that, but it was scrapped when Dreyfuss refused to return, which I don't blame him for that whatsoever.
Yeah, I don't either.
Carla Brody was meant to be Catherine Morgan from the previous movie, like I mentioned.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, just don't bother with this. It is not worth your time, your energy, or your effort. At one point, a couple years back, I watched this movie while absolutely hammered, and it was still awful. So, if that tells you anything, then yeah, definitely don't watch it.
Yeah, I'd say if you are going to watch it,
Don't.
don't. But put it in the background. Do something else, you know.
Yeah, like we had a good amount of dead flies on our floor. I know we're kind of messy, but
It was recently like fumigated though. Where there's a
Yeah.
reason.
yeah, it's not.
And I'm pregnant and did not want to bend over and sweep them
It's
up.
not complete laziness, just a
Yeah,
little.
like,
And at
we
one
had a
point,
fly problem.
at one point, I decided to go take care of that instead of watching this movie.
Yeah,
I did
was-
that. I took care of the trash.
Yeah, you went
I-
outside.
I even considered taking care of the litter again.
You're looking for stuff to do. I was doodling on my iPad, and then I got on Pinterest.
Yeah, so I don't think there's going to be any sort of difference between our Jaws rankings.
No.
First, second, third, fourth in
Yep.
descending order.
Yep. That's pretty obvious. Yeah, like I think that should be everybody's ranking.
Now
But-
I can kind of understand someone liking maybe Jaws 3 the worst, maybe, because
Yeah, because the effects are pretty bad.
yeah, and that one's not good
pretty
either.
silly.
But at least there's something to watch in it.
Yeah.
Here, there's like, bro, there's absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Don't bother it.
Yeah.
Not supposedly. Jaws 3 and 4 are getting a 4K release soon. I'm not going to bother with those. I have both of these on just Blu-ray, and you know what? That's probably enough for me.
Yeah, I would not. I would say don't waste your money on those.
I wouldn't even steal those.
Yeah. I wouldn't either because I don't steal.
You stole my heart.
Oh.
I've
I
informed
guess,
the
man.
police. They're coming after you.
No.
Give it back.
No. It's mine now.
All right. Well, we'll catch you next time.
Yep. See you next time.